I just feel like I just want to share that there is someone out there for everyone. And, I hope that no one feels alone in their journey. And just reach out, because there's so many people, in the environment that you can reach out to. If you just reach out to one person,
All right, welcome back to the Spero Means Hope Podcast, where we share amazing patient story, interview experts in the community, and share resources for clinicians and students. So tonight we have with us Nisha. How you doing?
Hi,
Hi, nice to meet you. And am I pronouncing your name right?
Nisha. Yes,
Nisha? Okay.
yes.
Well, nice to meet you, Nisha.
Nice
Can
to
you
meet
start?
you too.
Thank you. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself? So, where are you from? What do you do for a living? What do you do for fun?
Okay, so my name's Nisha, and I live in Austin, Texas, but I'm originally from England, so UK, London, and I've been here almost 20 years. So in
Wow.
Austin, in Texas, and I lived in California. My husband and I live together, and we have 3 dogs. And we lived in California for 2 years, and then we came back to Austin, and we're here in East Austin, and it's really hot right now. um, not working at the moment because of, I'll share a little bit later on. I've got some health issues that kind of, are in the way of doing that. So, at the moment, I'm not working, but I was a digital marketer, which means I did all kinds of stuff online for a company. I worked for a fair trade company, which basically does responsible sourcing for products overseas. I worked with a lot of different companies, and also India, more recently, and I was also that was my full-time gig kind of thing, and then I was a part-time yoga instructor as well.
Oh, that's amazing. What initially brought you from England to the US?
Well, it's a long story. I guess, long story short, after kind of a bachelor's degree, which is a long time ago, both my husband and we didn't know each other then, but we decided to do gap year, and we worked on a wilderness camp with at-risk youth in East Texas, and we lived there, in our 20s. And anyway, we met there. Eventually I went back to England, but we kept in touch, and we were long distance, and then eventually I moved here to Austin, where he lived, and the rest is history.
Interesting journey. Where in East Texas did y'all live?
We lived, most people don't know it. It's a small town called Groton. It's in the David Crockett National Park, and we did a lot of therapeutic recreation with young adults. And the closest, I guess, college town would be Nacogdoches or like Tyler or something.
Tyler?
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And so, do you have any hobbies, any things you like to do to pass the time?
Yeah, I have a few, but I really like just hanging out with my friends and family, and especially like eating good food. And I also, I don't cook as much now, but I really love cooking, so I give a lot of instructions to my husband, and I feel like he's become an even better cook than he was. He was a good cook, but he's become even better. And I feel like I've become an expert in supervising
That is
supervising stuff around the house.
that is
um,
so funny.
no, but I like to be in there and do what I can, and then also I'm a Buddhist and I'm a practicing Buddhist, and I have that practice, that a daily practice, and I meet a lot of my spiritual community. We have a mantra, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, that we chant, and it really bring out like a higher life condition. And so that's something I'm really involved in. I've always been involved in. And then I like to stay active. It's not the level of activity that I'm used to, but I really appreciate Spero, especially. Shout out to Central, because I've been to all the locations and everyone's great. But when you don't have visits anymore or that kind of stuff, Spero Central has been so good for me, just having the community gym aspect, and also just because I'm used to being in that environment, and now it's hard for me to be in that environment, not only physically but also there's not many people that look the same, and it's nice to have conversations, and not everyone's dealing with different things, but with other people as well. That's really a highlight for me and keeps me motivated to stay active. So
Ah,
thank you, guys.
that makes me really happy that like you found like a community. I love that so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I feel like Spirit has done that.
Love
they
that.
they're I don't know, leading the way, I guess. I don't know.
I love that. Nisha, can you share a little bit about your injury, like however much or however little you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, so it's really it was a real shock to me because, as you heard, I'm a real active person, and didn't have any health issues and didn't have any risk factors. But in 2023, on my birthday, I was in that month, I was waiting for a biopsy, and long story short, I did have cancer, but I didn't get the biopsy until I was in hospital because the cancer caused my blood to hypercoagulate and cause blood clots, and that caused a stroke. And so I have, I'm dealing with the cancer part, and also, you know, the risk of stroke is always something that happens with me and the cancer, because of the cancer. And so I feel like, wow, this is really my luck, because I've just like I thought I was doing everything right,
Mm.
and here I am. But everything for a reason, and oh my god, it has been a growth opportunity. So I couldn't swallow,
Mm.
when I first was diagnosed and everything. How the story goes. Maybe some people are familiar with stroke now, that because this is a rehab podcast. But obviously, I had no clue. We didn't even know what was happening, what the signs were or anything. And anyway, then I spent time in rehab, inpatient, outpatient, and finally got to Spero around about. And I did a lot of work. It's hard work. And it takes a lot of motivation and persistence and perseverance. And it also, I thought I was going to walk out in the hospital in 2 weeks. I was like, I've had injuries in the past, and I was like, oh, maybe my leg's just going to get better and my arms. So I have right side hemiparesis right now that I'm dealing with. And I had a lot of speech impediments and also can swallow. And I've worked a lot, and all that has, I've gained a lot back, and I haven't got any. I don't know, can't say I haven't got any, but I don't have any signs, I guess, of cognitive impairment. But yeah, so it's been a process, and it's learning a new, a new, a new, I guess.
Yeah. Are you still actively dealing with cancer treatment, or is your cancer in remission, or how are you doing with that?
So it's stage 4. It's not in remission completely, but it's kind of a partial remission, which I also had a year ago, but became active. It became active again, and then, you know, I went back and to treatment and I've always been on treatment. Basically, my tumors are not growing, so that is a kind of remission, but it's not a remission, complete remission. They're just staying quiet, which is good for me. And I have maintenance chemotherapy to kind of improve my quality of life. And as long as I don't have active cancer, I'm usually my upbeat self. And also during I have treatment still, so I, my all that stuff, the energy goes, the levels go down, and it was really hard for me to navigate because I have never experienced that, that, like, the energy levels and stuff, and I was getting really depressed, and then I kind of got into the rhythm, like knowing, okay, this is how I'm gonna feel, and then moving on from that. Maybe I need to take care of myself these days, and then these days I can do other things. So
Yeah, like adjusting to, like you said, the new.
yeah.
Yeah. Where are your tumors located, Nisha?
So the source of my tumors are in the lung. I have non-small cell lung cancer, which is not necessarily related to smoking, but it's common in females of older than 40, of Asian descent, some sort of Asian descent, and they would have been a non-smoker or a smoker, so that is not necessarily determinant, I guess, of that. And I have a gene mutation. It's kind of a genetic mutation, and it doesn't present symptoms until stage 3 or 4, so there's no early detection. So that's so it was in the lung and it went to the brain, but now I don't have it. They don't see evidence in the brain, so that's good.
Yay.
Obviously they have to keep an eye on it. But the liver, bone, and gosh, I can't remember now. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing the, I guess the prevalence, like saying like female over 40 and then Asian descent, because I always find it interesting. And I think like listeners are always learning something new.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing that because I think people don't know about those things.
No, and people don't necessarily put these two illnesses together. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's really shocked, and I'm like, well, that was my thing.
This is my story. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just recently reached out to the lung cancer um, um, national whatever, and I was asking about a mentor, just kind of an outside person to speak to, and who I also said, I have the two things, so I wonder if anyone else has been through a similar scenario.
Yeah. What has been, if you're looking at this journey from like diagnosis to today, what would you say have been some of the biggest obstacles you've had to overcome?
I shared some of them earlier. Obviously, I had to work a lot on my speech, and obviously, I did have cognitive deficits, but I've done so much work and keep reading and keep talking. And I feel like my biggest challenge has been the mobility because it's really changed my lifestyle. I can walk, but I didn't walk. I was in a wheelchair, but now I walk with the AFO, and I've come a long way thanks to all the therapists that have helped me along the way. And the arm, it doesn't get as much use, but I'm slowly making progress. I've just like I said, I thought I was going to walk out the hospital in 2 weeks and just be fine. But I've learned, it's a process and it takes time. And every single person that has been affected by stroke, even if they look the same, is totally different. So nobody can tell you, yes, of course you can share with each other, but at the end of the day, nobody even knows, not even the doctors really or therapists really know, the prescription to give you the specific prescription, because everyone's brain functions differently.
Yeah, very true. There's a lot of variety, and every person is unique and responds to things differently too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Are there any milestones you've accomplished? Maybe like things you didn't think could still be a part of your life, or anything that you're like super proud of?
You know, I've learned to, because I've always been a high achiever, I've learned that there's also, small milestones. It doesn't have to be big, but that's been, we use a term in Buddhism called human revolution, but it's basically like I've had to really grow with my capacity to understand that. Like, that, like, from being in a wheelchair to walking, that was a big achievement. But I really quickly forgot that and was like, okay, what's the next thing? It's good to have goals, but also at times I got so depressed because I'm like, oh no, I'm not getting to the next thing. How come, and all that, and just, it's a daily battle. Yeah. Just being, like I said, just being able to swallow, just remembering those things. And that's why I'm thankful for this podcast, like, even though I am a bit nervous. Um, it just gives me, the main thing, it gave me a moment to reflect on the things, how far I've come. And, yeah, that's a big deal.
Whenever you did feel depressed, what helped you the most? Like, was it like leaning on your faith, or maybe specific people, or what helped you with the mental aspect of going through a stroke and cancer?
Yeah, as time goes on, I feel like it's harder to be as motivated as I was about certain things, and so um I mean, I feel like, because I have my daily spiritual practice that helps me, is any kind of mindfulness, and I also really chant, could be anything, but reflect on having gratitude, even though sometimes I'm like, I don't feel grateful, but I really try to just find things to feel grateful for. And also, just, I really am trying, especially today. I was thinking, you know what? I thought about it in the beginning a lot, and I'm like, I'm never going to get this kind of time again. I have all the time, so I can do so many things. So, like, I'm obviously learned to use my left hand, and it's not the best writing, but it takes me a while to get motivated to actually, because my best friends and I, who live in England, we write to each other. We have since we were teenagers.
I
We
love that.
always write letters. And I just sat down today and was like, I had gone to a crafting thing, which I am also not a crafting kind of person. So that's something that I picked up. I was like, oh, maybe I should go, maybe I should try. I was just trying different things that I didn't used to try before. and I painted some paper. So I used that paper to write a letter with my left hand, and
Um,
you know, it has issues. Obviously, it's not the same as using my right hand, but it's kind of a proud moment. And more importantly, I feel like when my friend gets it, she's gonna really, really appreciate it even more than before. Because of she'll know the effort that I put into it. And it was just cool. And I feel like it's kind of, I was practicing on some paper before. I have some paper on the table to practice with my right hand, but I also practice with my left hand. And I ended up just journaling my thoughts. So I feel like that's a kind of good process to do. I don't do it all the time, but I'm like, just writing a few words. Like it was kind of a letter to myself. And then I wrote a letter to my friend. And so I was like, it felt good. I felt like I was in a happy mood.
I love that so much. I also have a childhood best friend that we exchange letters to. So we do postcards, and I think there's something very special about pen and paper, and
Yeah.
it's a different feeling than receiving a text message.
Yeah, it most definitely. And also just getting actual mail, because you don't
Yes.
usually get letters anymore, and getting fun mail. Fun mail. Because
Yeah.
you get bills and stuff all the time.
And that is not fun.
That's
Nisha,
cool.
if this current season of your life, like if your whole life was a book and you're looking at this current season of your life, what do you think this chapter would be called and why?
Yes, I did think about that question. I think it would be called Courage and Perseverance. Because I feel like I've had to really, I thought I had a lot of courage, but I really had to dig deep and find even more courage to just, every day I feel like just having the courage to get up and out of bed is just like so challenging now, because I'm like, oh, I feel so tired, and I haven't even got up yet. And I was like, but I still make myself, get out of bed and have a shower and try to, help with breakfast and just do the little thing. Well, they're not little things.
Yeah.
Now they're big things in my life, And yeah, that's also ties in with perseverance, because that that's all you can do is just keep going, um, one moment at a time, and yeah, yeah, and I also um really try to do the work to not beat myself up about what I haven't accomplished. And so, because my personality is such that I've always kind of been like that, because I'm sure a lot of women are that way anyway.
Yeah, I like that. I agree with you that I think a lot of people, like, you put a lot of pressure on yourself and you want to achieve the big goals. And so I like how you're talking about also giving yourself grace, especially on the days that you feel tired and that you're like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed today, on
Yeah.
those days.
Yeah, but you know what? And I have stayed in bed, but usually it doesn't make me feel better.
Yeah.
So it's better that I just get up and go.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Nisha, is there anything you wish that you could tell your like pre-diagnostic self? Like if you could go back in time and tell your younger self one thing, what would that be?
Well, I'm gonna say don't put anything off until later, till, um, so that you don't have any regrets, or, yeah, I guess seize the moment. Cliche, yes, I know, cliche, but it's kind of seizing the moment and really doing the things that you love to do daily.
I like that. And I don't think it's cliche. I mean, you hear the carpe diem but it's It's a good advice. It's a really good advice.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything you wish people knew about what it's like to navigate cancer or life after a stroke?
I feel like cancer and stroke is, I should have talked about both of them because they're very individual and nothing is the same. I didn't realize that about cancer. I did, that there's different types of cancer, but even within the types of cancer, it's still an individual thing. And the same thing, people respond in different ways. There's so many different facets of treatment, and the same thing with stroke. I feel like just getting away from generalizations and just conversing about a person's experience, whatever that is. And I feel that goes with everything. Obviously, we're talking about what I'm struggling with right now, but it could also be just anyone talking about their life. Just really, I've learned to listen better, about people's experiences and how they're sharing them and what they want to share instead of yes of course you can't help your thinking, but trying to have that open mindset. And also, especially with stroke, I think I really wish that people would understand that it's a brain injury, because people don't really, because it's called stroke.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people maybe relate it to the heart or something like that. And then, for example, when they see me, they'll be like, "Oh, what happened to your leg?" Not they don't necessarily can tell. They can't tell necessarily with my arm because it's just there. But if I went to shake hands with someone, they would know that I can't reach out as efficiently with my hand yet. And then I feel like it's always an education, because I'm like, oh no, it's not my arm or my leg. There's nothing wrong with my arm or my leg. It's my brain. There's an injury in the brain, and that connection has been lost. So I feel, yeah.
I think that's a good education piece for people. I agree with you. Do you feel like, because you mentioned mobility being one of the primary obstacle, do you think that the world around you, I guess Austin in particular, is fairly accessible to people with different mobility levels, or do you encounter a lot of barriers in your environment?
I've become so vigilant about accessibility. It's unbelievable, but it really is if you're in the shoes, isn't it? But I feel like it does do a good job of being accessible. For example, they have the Cat Metro transportation, not the bus system, but the door-to-door service for people with disabilities, and that has been instrumental for me because it's cost effective and helps with lots of things in my life. And I feel like around town, I sometimes when we go somewhere, because I don't drive, but say my husband's driving and I'm not in a wheelchair, but we parked into a handy-capable spot. And as soon as I opened the door, I was like, well, how's a wheelchair going to go over this terrain? Because it was,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I feel like sometimes maybe they just put the signs up with good intention, but also just wanting to have it there that we did our part. Yeah, so I think I'm not trying to be negative, but I was just like, oh, yeah. And I'm just learning a lot. And, but I did want to give out a shout out to Deep Eddy Pool because Spero Rehab did a
Yes, a
Instagram
video. Yeah.
on that. Then my husband and I went on the weekend,
Love it.
and it was very accessible for me to go on the ramp, and they really helped me because there was times when we had to get out because of risk of thunderstorm, and I couldn't get out quickly because I was far from the ramp, and so I was close to the chair, and the lifeguards ran with the stuff, and got me out of there, and it was a really good experience.
Oh,
So thank you.
that makes me really happy. Like every time I hear like a good positive experience of a public place, I'm like, okay, add it to the list, of places to go. That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like I'm singing Spero's praises, but I really do that with everyone because I'm like, you really um, educate about the community, like about the things that are available out there, and then it's up to us if we're gonna,
Yeah,
use it.
that's awesome. Shout out to Claire. I think Claire Mel
Yeah. Shout out to Claire.
and Alex. I think the few of them did the video, and Grace, I
Yeah,
think too. So
yeah.
shout out to them. Well, talking about shout outs, if there's any shout out you want to give to anyone that has been instrumental in your journey, and it may be like healthcare professional, but also like family members, like anybody that you want to give a shout out to, who would you put on your thank you list?
Oh my God, there's too many. There's too many. But I feel like all my therapists from St. David's, inpatient were great, and my oncologist, Texas Oncology, um, his name is Ruben DeSellis, and he is the best oncologist. I have a neuro-oncologist there. They really take good care of me. And then all the rehabs I went to at Baylor Scott and White, in Lakeway, and then Spero, all the therapists are great. I've worked with, at Ergo, I worked with Sammy, and she helped me. I came a long way in my walking because of that, and I've worked with the pool, all the people in the pool, JJ, I can't remember the other guy's name, Dia, they've helped me so much, because when I was going through that cancer relapse, I was really weak, and that's the first time I went in the pool, and that was the only thing that I could do, because I couldn't do regular therapy because I was so weak.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful. And then you said her name already, but Claire is amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh, she's an amazing human being. Drea, everyone there at Central, I feel like somewhere along the line they've, helped me, and the tags helped me out so much. I can't remember her name. Vashti, I think. Yashavi, sorry.
Yashmi.
Yashavi, I love
Yeah.
her. And Laura, Summon Checks, and everyone there. I feel like the front desk people at Ergo. So everyone's been really, really amazing. And like I said, Cat Metro is really great. And I'm talking about all the therapists, but obviously my husband, I couldn't even do a day of this. I feel like I'm gonna cry.
Aww. Aww.
Sorry. He's, I mean, his life has really changed, and he stepped up. He stepped up. All of my family is in England, so that's really challenging because we're really close, and but my family have, been over here, and they've helped out so much as well, and I really miss them, but I also feel really fortunate that the world is so connected. like this. Like we can have a podcast and have video calls and all that
I love
all the
that.
time.
I love that. What's your husband's name, Nisha?
His name's Jamie.
Jamie. Shout out to Jamie.
Jamie, and yeah, so many friends as well that have helped me along the way and bring me to appointments and rehab appointments, and yeah, really, I've and my Buddhist community too. I've got, I think that's the most important thing is having a strong support network.
Definitely.
And I think that also has taught me to accept support from other people, because when you're used to giving support, you're not used to receiving the support, or and just learning to accept help.
Yeah. It always boils down to community and accepting that help. So, aw. Nisha, is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you wanted to mention, or any like parting words, last minute words of wisdom?
No, I mean, I just feel like I just want to share that there is someone out there for everyone. And, I hope that no one feels alone in their journey. And just reach out, because there's so many people, in the environment that you can reach out to. If you just reach out to one person, and whenever you can, I mean, try to have gratitude in your heart and share joy with other people, because when I do that, it in turn brings me joy. So I just want to share that. Thank you.
I love this is like one of the best way to end the conversation, like just ending on a note of like gratitude. And I loved everything that you shared, and I really appreciate you like opening up and like sharing about your story and like all of those things. So I really appreciate it, Nisha.
Thank you. I really appreciate you for reaching out to me and being flexible, because I was like, no, maybe I'm not going to do this, but I did it. I had the courage.
You did it, and you did great. You did
Yeah, so
awesome.
thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nisha.